Hello, and thank you for watching this regional forecast for the Corn Belt. I'm Andrew Pritchard, Senior Meteorologist with Nutrien Ag Solutions. We're looking at a map of temperatures across the region right now. Generally, most folks waking up to temperatures in the low 70s, though muggy low 70s here for a lot of folks on this Friday morning. But if you look back toward the northwest, we do have some cooler air trying to make its way in across parts of the Canadian Prairie into the northern plains today, and that will be sweeping across parts of the Corn Belt as we head deeper into the weekend and early next week. We're going to see a series of shots of cooler and less humid air as we head into the next week or so. As we look at the satellite and lightning picture here, we've got a couple of clusters of thunderstorms ongoing. We've got an MCS making its way out of the Dakotas into parts of Minnesota this morning. We've seen another round of training thunderstorms across parts of central and southern Wisconsin that goes back to last evening. We've seen thunderstorms continuing through the overnight and then on into early this morning. Some areas here picking up 3 to 7 inches of rainfall during the last 12 hours or so. We'll talk about that in just a moment. And then we've also got the remnants of Laura right now beginning to become more of an open wave as it moves into the Ohio River Valley, bringing some heavy rain to that region. So as we look at the radar picture again, you can see our clusters of thunderstorms first off to the north across parts of Minnesota, Wisconsin, eastward into the Great Lakes. We've got a couple of clusters of storms there. We've got one producing some locally heavy rainfall here across parts of Wisconsin. We've got this more well-defined bow echo pushing across Minnesota this morning, and then a couple of thunderstorms moving across lower Michigan. You look off to the south, you can see the circulation from Laura down here across parts of Arkansas and Missouri. You've also just got tons of Gulf moisture streaming northward, partially helped or aided here by Marco, and then being exacerbated by Laura coming on up right behind that. So the last 72 hours of precipitation, you can see a couple of corridors. We've got the flow up and over the top of the ridge here, the ridge riding thunderstorms from the Dakotas into the Great Lakes, and then obviously we have the big corridor of heavy rain from our tropical systems, most notably Laura, making its way up here over the last 24 hours. Now, I talked about some very localized heavy rainfall across the state of Wisconsin, generally east of La Crosse here along Interstate 90. Again, a corridor here where, again, we've had reports of 3 to 7 inches of rainfall. We've got flooding reported in the town of Mauston, but we've got radar estimates here in some of these areas of 6 to 10 inches of rainfall across central and southern Wisconsin here. Again, north of Madison, east of La Crosse in that area. So a very heavy rainfall in some of these areas. As we look at the next 7 days, we're really going to be concerned about parts of the lower U.S., from the Ozarks down into the lower Mississippi Valley. Again, Laura bringing a lot of heavy rainfall, and then we're going to see a frontal boundary stalling in this region, bringing a lot of heavy rain over the next 3 to 5 days. And that's really going to be one of the bigger stories as we head into next week. So as we look at the hazard map from the National Weather Service, again, relatively quiet across the Corn Belt. We've got flood advisories, flash flood warnings, flash flood watches across parts of Wisconsin as you head down to the south. Flash flood watches in effect here across Arkansas, the boot heel of Missouri, into western portions of Kentucky and Tennessee. We've also got some heat advisories here in the Minneapolis, St. Paul area as we deal with last little round of heat across the region. The next 3 days of severe weather outlooks, we have to talk about some severe storms across the Midwest today, across eastern Iowa into southern Wisconsin and northern Illinois. Again, we have thunderstorms ongoing in parts of those areas this morning. We'll see a redevelopment of those during the afternoon and evening. Tomorrow, our front moves off to the east and to the south. We'll see that chance for storms greatest across the southern plains in the Ozarks, southern Kansas into southern Missouri. As we head into the day on Sunday, we're going to see this front kind of lifting back to the north as another upper-level wave comes diving in from the Canadian Prairie, bringing a renewed chance for storms across the central plains. Now, we can pick out quite a few of our features as we look at the surface wind map over the next several days. Again, here's Laura down here across Arkansas. That'll continue to make its way north before hooking off to the east as we head through the day today. We've then got this little frontal boundary that's going to be triggering the severe storms across the Midwest later on today. We'll head into about 4 p.m. You see the strong winds coming out of the northwest, bringing in that cooler and less humid air. Again, a very warm and muggy air mass out ahead of that, so that is what sets the stage for those strong storms as we head through the afternoon and evening hours. Now, as I just let this go through Friday night into the day on Saturday, we'll see that front moving off to the south, stalling kind of in this general area. We'll draw it here in blue, but then you see another wave coming in here, the circulation developing along and ahead of that. That's where we'll see that heavy rainfall in this region. But then I also want to draw your attention back toward the northern plains as we see another wave eject out of the Canadian Prairie into the Dakotas, where we'll see that renewed chance for some storms on Sunday afternoon. Again, you see the very strong convergence. You see the winds coming out of the northwest behind the cold front. Out ahead of that area, low pressure, strong warm air advection. We get strong southerly flow. And again, it's along that frontal boundary that we'll expect to see those thunderstorms redeveloping during the afternoon on Sunday. Let's talk about today, though. We're looking at a couple of plots here, some of our severe weather ingredients frozen at 7 p.m. this evening. In the top left, we've got instability. You can see the very warm and unstable air mass out ahead of the cold front, the cooler, less humid air coming in behind that. So this is the trigger point. This is what will be the focal point for those thunderstorms developing. We're looking at the dew point temperatures here in the top right. And again, you can see the contrast where out ahead of that, we've got dew points in the low 70s, a very warm, muggy air mass. A couple of shots of cooler air on the back side. The first front dropping those dew points down into the lower 60s. Another shot of cooler air dropping the dew points even further into the 50s behind that. The bottom left, we're looking at upper level winds at 500 millibars. So this is kind of our upper level support here. And we see those winds coming in at 40 to 50 knots. That's plenty to support severe storms. And then in the bottom right, we're looking at the lower level winds. So the winds at 850 millibars, a few thousand feet just above our head. You see the very strong winds with the area of low pressure here across parts of Lake Michigan into lower Michigan. But still enough here out just ahead of that, where again, we get the strong winds aloft coming out of the northwest, or the west at the very least. Beneath that, we get the strong flow out of the southwest. That's what gives us not only the wind support for the longevity there, but we also get that rotation there, the potential for a couple of tornadoes. So as we talk about the high resolution rapid refresh, this will help us pin down the timing on those thunderstorms. Again, it does a pretty good job here picking out the thunderstorm cluster ongoing across the state of Minnesota, that little bow echo. Not so great here, missing some of the thunderstorms that are ongoing across central and southern Wisconsin, so certainly have to consider that. But as we play this into the mid-afternoon hours, we'll see the first wave decay as it moves across the state of Wisconsin, but then we'll still have that frontal boundary just kind of lingering back toward the west. So as we head through the afternoon and evening hours, I think the region I'm most concerned about is going to be where the air mass is not contaminated by those early morning storms. We get these repeated rounds of showers and storms across this region through the morning hours into the midday. That can really mitigate the severe weather threat by keeping clouds in the region, preventing destabilization from fully being realized. But south of that, across the state of Iowa, across far southern Wisconsin, back across northwestern Illinois. That's where the air mass will be a little bit more untouched, a little bit more pristine, a little more unstable, and a slightly higher chance for some strong storms across that region this afternoon and evening. So as we look at the probabilities for specific severe weather hazards here, we're looking at tornadoes in the top center there, and then hail and wind on the bottom. We see the brown shading here. That's where we've got a 5% probability of tornadoes here, 30% for the damaging wind and the hail. And again, you can pick out the corridor there where we're most concerned about, eastern Iowa into southern Wisconsin and northern Illinois. Now, as we head into the weekend and deeper into next week, we're looking at upper level support once again. Here's the wave, the lead wave that's triggering the severe weather across the Midwest as we head into the day today. Here is Laura becoming a more open wave. Again, you see the tighter circulation as the forecast gets started. As we head deeper into the day today, into tonight, Laura opening up and becoming more of your classic mid-level trough there. So as we head deeper into the weekend, here comes the next wave behind this, swooping out of the Canadian Prairie into the northern plains. This is what brings the renewed chance for some stronger storms across the central plains into the Dakotas as we head through the day on Sunday afternoon and evening. And then as we head into the early part of next week, again, we're going to see that frontal boundary kind of stalling across the lower Midwest, across the lower Mississippi Valley, a trough digging in. So we'll keep Gulf moisture pumping northward out of the Gulf with upper level support over the top of that. And that's what's going to lead to the repeated rounds of showers and storms. Again, you can see the upper level support here with that trough as we head into the middle part of the next week. So repeated rounds of heavy rain and thunderstorms possible across parts of Kansas, Oklahoma, Missouri, and Arkansas into the Ohio River Valley. We're looking at the moisture content here within the atmosphere, the precipitable water content. And again, here's the very deep moisture being brought northward by Laura. Here's the front swooping in across the upper Midwest that's going to be triggering the severe storms as we head through the afternoon and evening hours across eastern Iowa into southern Wisconsin and northern Illinois. We'll then take this a bit deeper into the weekend. We watch the front clearing the eastern Corn Belt, bringing cooler and less humid air to this region as we head into the first part of the weekend. And then we see the next system making its way into the central plains here as we get into Sunday, bringing that renewed chance for showers and storms. Let's take this a little deeper into the week. Here comes Monday now. We're watching that next shot of cooler and drier air coming in across the northern plains of the upper Midwest. And this is where we get that clash now. The very tropical air mass coming in from the Gulf, the cooler and drier air coming in from the northwest. And then remember, we've got this upper level support coming in from the southwest. That's going to set the stage for these repeated rounds of showers and storms across this area as we head into the early part of next week. So let's take this all, let's put it together, let's look at the precipitation forecast from the European model as we head into next week. We'll go quickly here through this. We've talked fairly in depth about the weekend, watching for the chance for some strong storms from eastern Iowa into southern Wisconsin, northern Illinois today. Laura's moisture continues off across Kentucky and Tennessee, bringing locally heavy rainfall, the chance for a couple of strong storms to that region as we head through the day today into tonight. Laura's heavy rainfall making its way out of eastern portions of Kentucky and Tennessee during the morning hours tomorrow. Meanwhile, the frontal boundary continues to be stalled back across this region as we head into the day Saturday and Sunday, watching for strong storms across eastern portions of Kansas into southern Missouri. Our next wave comes out of the northern plains as we get into Sunday, looking for some scattered storms from the Dakotas down into Nebraska and Kansas, with a continued thunderstorm activity along the frontal boundary across the south, Kentucky and Tennessee, the boot heel of Missouri, northern Arkansas, seeing repeated rounds of storms as we head into Sunday, even into Sunday night and Monday. And this is when we're really going to begin to hammer this region as that front stalls across the region, upper level support remains, and deep tropical moisture continues to feed northward from the Gulf of Mexico. I'm just going to continue to step forward here. We're into Monday night now, Tuesday morning, getting into Tuesday afternoon. Maybe a chance for additional thunderstorms along that front all the way north into parts of Illinois and Indiana as we get into Tuesday and Wednesday. Now we're into Wednesday night, getting into Thursday, and now it looks like this wave finally begins to lift out of the region with high pressure coming in on the backside, bringing cooler, less humid, and quieter air as we end the next week, moving into around the September 4th and 5th time frame. So it does look like, again, with that frontal boundary just stalled across this region, upper level support continuing to feed in, and the deep tropical moisture continuing to stream northward from the Gulf of Mexico, we're really going to have to watch this corridor from eastern portions of Kansas and Oklahoma, across southern Missouri, northern Arkansas, into Kentucky and Tennessee. Some of these areas with the potential to see more than 6 inches of rainfall as we head into the next week. So as we just look at the probability of picking up 1 inch or more of rainfall over the next week, you got 2 corridors. You've got this northerly track here, a lot of this falling over the next 24 hours from the Dakotas into Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan. Some of those also coming in the form of some strong storms. But then as we head into next week, really the corridor that we'll be concerned about for the repeated rounds of showers and storms and locally heavy rainfall, again, eastern portions of Kansas and Oklahoma, across southern Missouri, northern Arkansas, into southern Illinois, along and south of the Ohio River Valley into Kentucky and Tennessee. And we'll continue to see shots of cooler and less humid air as we head into next week as well, as we watch our temperature anomalies. Again, in front of each of these systems, we get warm air advection drawing warmer and humid air in ahead of it. Cooler air comes in on the backside. We just kind of play this dance where we warm in advance, cool behind each of these little waves as they make their way in. So shots of cooler air as we head into the next week. That is the theme as far as temperatures go. 70s for the highs today across the Dakotas, 90s continuing across the Midwest. Again, the reason for the clash of the air masses here, or the reason for the storms, is the clash in the air masses there. As we head into Saturday, 70s and 80s for most across the Corn Belt. Starting to warm up again across the Central Plains in advance of our next shot of cooler air, which arrives on Monday, knocking temperatures back into the 60s and 70s for most folks, keeping it cool as we head into the middle part of next week. Have a great day and a wonderful weekend. We'll talk to you again on Monday morning.